More than ever, parenting is a balancing act right now. So many parents are dealing with working from home, studying or looking for work, supporting homeschooling, trying to stay connected with family and friends, supporting elderly relatives and neighbours, as well as the usual demands of family life. It's easy to feel overwhelmed with so many different responsibilities. This time, parenting expert Professor Matt Sanders talks about juggling all of the demands placed on parents during the COVID-19 social isolation restrictions.
I usually work for long days and I really can't get as much done when I'm supervising kids and doing schoolwork and keeping them busy, but my work expects me to keep up to speed like it's business as usual.
I feel guilty that I'm not doing more for my dad who's by himself. I know he's lonely and bored, but I'm flat out keeping up with everything going on in our own house.
I'm just not sure how I'm supposed to work productively from home and keep the kids busy at the same time.
How do I stop my kids fighting so I can get some of my work done?
My partner is really loud when he's on his video conference calls, and I'm trying to work, but I just can't concentrate.
When you're working from home, it really does help to be aware of the impact of our own behaviour on others and to try to be as considerate as possible. But it's important to be realistic about what you're trying to achieve as well when the whole family is at home. Writing that novel or getting heaps of extra work done in the peace of your own home are probably pipe dreams for many people. Most of us are just getting by and are not likely to be at our most productive. So rethink your priorities. Right now, make your children and your family your top priority. You may need to advocate for this and negotiate with your employer or supervisor about what's actually reasonable. It's not reasonable to expect you to be on long video conference calls back to back right throughout the day when you have children and when you're needing to supervise them and to help children with their own independent activities. I think it really helps to set daily goals so you end the day with a sense of accomplishment or completion. So if you can start the day with things you know you can complete and then gradually work up to the bigger tasks. Our capacity to work productively depends a lot, of course, on our children's capacity to entertain themselves, to be involved in activities, to be engaged. There's no magic formula, and it depends a lot on the work you do and your children's ages and their abilities for independent play and engagement. But the idea is to try to alternate periods of focused, concentrated work that you're involved with a child-focused, child-centred time where you help children get started with some independent activity that they can continue. Children may only be able to manage relatively brief periods of time without some adult supervision and attention, but you can gradually build up to this by encouraging their independent play or activity.
We're getting through the schoolwork really quickly, but then we need to find other things to keep the kids busy all day long.
We're really struggling with the homeschooling, getting through all the work set by the school, trouble with the online worksheets, and even when we can get onto them, it's taking all day.
Be realistic about homeschooling. It's so important to just remain reasonably calm. Look, I know that's easier said than done, but gee, it's so easy to be pretty tough on yourself as a parent in this situation, but you're not expected to do the same job as teachers would in the classroom. Teachers usually divide their attention between up to 28 students who work at different paces and needs, and their levels of support will vary that they require from the school. At home, if you can manage 2 to 3 hours of learning each day with young children, that's fine. And don't forget, children are aware of their parents' emotions, so they're highly attuned into the way we're speaking to them. Our tone of voice really does matter. And so trying to be patient and encouraging and not coming across with this frustrated or irritated voice, because that makes it an unpleasant situation and increases the chances of conflict.
How
how do we get the kids into a routine for schoolwork? We have to stop our youngest bothering all the others. It's a bit of an effort. He just wants to sit around and watch Netflix or something on TV.
It is a good idea to set up a daily timetable and have clear expectations with children that you discuss at the start of the day. By setting up a predictable routine and letting children know what you expect of them, such as where they do their work and how long each time block will be, and how kids can ask you for help if they need it, when you're involved in doing some of your own work, these things can be discussed. Look, it's not a bad idea to actually put up a sign if you're really involved in an important meeting where you can't be interrupted for a period of time. Put a sign on the door to let kids know that that's one of those times. But you've got to be realistic about how long to expect children to amuse themselves without adult involvement. A lot of the set schoolwork that kids will have will be self-directed activity, and you can help your children just to understand what it is they're being expected to do and then leave them to it. You just need to check in with them periodically about how they're going and to encourage their sustained effort. Encourage children for increasing periods of focused, independent learning or playtime. Some kids will only be able to last for a few minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, and then move it to 20 to 30 minutes, and think about time blocks that children are able to engage in independent and self-directed activity that you can increase over time. Some schoolwork will require more adult support, and where it does, arrange times so you can do this by taking a break from your own work and not to be distracted during that time, so you can give children their full attention. Kids all work at their own pace. For some, their schoolwork may not be finished in a day. For others, the set work may be done in a few hours, and you'll need to find other things to supplement their schoolwork to keep them busy and to keep them engaged and involved in some fun activity. Break up book or screen time based learning with periods of physical activity, and plan some fun activities for the afternoon where all the work of the day is done. It's really helpful to get outside and to encourage physical activity and play. Sometimes it's just enough to pause and to be looking at children. Kids love to know that adults are watching what they're doing.
Because I study full time and his home, I really struggle to get my work done, and I have to keep him entertained. How can I keep my son busy while I'm trying to do some work?
It's also a great idea to encourage kids to do things independent of you and to encourage their creativity. We talk about keeping kids busy all the time so that they don't become bored or get into trouble, but it's actually a very important set of skills for children to learn to do things for themselves, to entertain themselves, and to use their imagination and their creativity to keep them involved and interested and busy. You might find you need to help them get started, but spread these ideas across the day so that they're not all concentrated at one time. Having a range of activities is a good idea. Activities for all ages can include things like art and music and movement and creative play. Kids love fantasy play. Children can make the most amazing cubby houses that they will just love you spending a little bit of time with them right down there on the floor and enjoying the experience or the adventure that they associate with this play activity. Help your kids set challenges for themselves. It's a great idea to experience challenges, and sometimes with challenges comes a little bit of failure, a little bit of disappointment, not quite getting or achieving what you wanted to. But of course, it's through these experiences of setting goals, trying things, that children eventually learn that they can master something if they stick to it. If there is a physical challenge, if there is something that children are building that's a little bit more complex, then the challenge of doing so builds their sense of persistence and resilience in the face of minor setbacks. Give kids brief, positive attention when they're busy. Don't wait for them to interrupt you while you're busy. Find a way of tuning into what children are doing, showing that you're interested, offering some involvement. You drop in, you make an interested comment about their activity or what they're constructing or what they're doing. Ask them a question or two about what's happening, and then leave them with a message that you'll come back soon. When kids know that you are predictable, you'll be available, and you're always interested in what they're doing, they seem to be able to amuse themselves for longer periods without the constant need for adult involvement.
I'm exhausted with the juggling of work from home, house chores, cooking, supervising homeschooling. I feel like I need to be Wonder Woman. Somehow being at work full-time was much easier.
Now it seems like we used to be on a treadmill. We were so busy all the time, being at home and just enjoying time with the family has made us really think about our lifestyle. Making time to go for walks and get outside rather than being tied to the desk.
There's a lot going on for parents, so don't forget to look after yourselves. When we take care of our own needs, for some time alone, for intimacy, for rest, for a break from kids, we actually have a lot more energy and resilience, and we're much more likely to be calm and consistent within our own family. Some parents are realising right now how little time they used to spend with their children prior to these periods of social isolation, and it's a chance to reset. And of course, if you're making time to make sure that you can prioritise giving your children some time and to rethink what's really important to you when these current restrictions are eased, I think it'll be much better for everyone. It'll be a win-win scenario for children and for yourself and for your family.
That's all we have time for today on Parenting in a Pandemic. Here are some tips for the week. Tip number 1, be realistic about what is achievable if you're working from home and looking after children all day. Set some doable daily goals so you end the day with a sense of accomplishment. Tip number 2, set up a timetable and clear expectations for your children too. Help them get started on play activities or schoolwork and provide only as much support as is needed to keep them engaged. Remember, all children are different and will have different interests and attention spans. Tip number 3, encourage children to be creative and independent and join them in creative play. And tip number 4, don't forget to look after your own needs and think about how you devote your time to what is important in your life. Thanks for listening to Parenting in a Pandemic. If you're enjoying this podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to leave a review. It'll help others to find this series. You can find free COVID-19 Parenting in a Pandemic resources in the episode show notes to help you on this journey.